In this video, we're going to talk about the Paycheck Protection Program loan, success or failure. And this is for small business owners so you can plan, survive, and make it through this difficult time so your business comes out on the other side. But before we do, if this is your first time at our channel or you haven't subscribed, click on the subscribe button at the bottom. My name's Travis Sickle, Certified Financial Planner, helping you reach your financial goals. Now, this video isn't about the success or failure of the Paycheck Protection Program loan, but more about the success or failure of your small business in using the Paycheck Protection Program loan. Now, I've gone over the details of the PPP loan in previous videos, and I'll put those in the description at the bottom, but I'll give you a brief overview of the ins and the outs. So it is 2.5 times payroll, which is 10 weeks worth of payroll. And you have to use at least 75% of it towards payroll and the other 25% towards rents, mortgages, utilities, and certain debts. But that's only if you want the loan forgiven. If you don't, and any money that's not forgiven, it will be a traditional loan at 1%, where the payments are deferred for 6 months and it has a maturity of 2 years. Now, most small business owners are laser focused on getting the loan, but because it's forgivable. But I have to wonder if going after the forgiveness to the loan is the right way to do it for every small business. Now, every small business is different. Some have a ton of payroll versus their overhead cost, and some have a ton of overhead and very little payroll. But the whole loan is based on payroll, and so is the forgiveness. So let's go through a couple of scenarios that might help you make a better decision for your small business on whether or not you should use the loan for forgiveness or use it as a traditional loan. And really, the first case scenario is the best case scenario. That's if you get the loan and everything returns to normal the day that the money hits your bank account. Really, that becomes a huge stimulus package to your small business and the economy. It's a win-win-win for everybody because your people are going to get paid, your business is operating, and you have a little bit more money on hand so you can move forward and possibly even grow. But that's an outcome that you wish for, not one that you plan for. What you plan for are the what ifs. What if your business has reduced staff during that 8-week period? Or what if you're completely closed during that 8-week period? And do you keep those paychecks going? Now, for the most part, the Paycheck Protection Program will cover payroll. So that's not really a scenario that you need to question. It really comes down to the overhead. Can that 25% cover the overhead? And there's two outcomes to it. Either it can or it can't. Now, if it can't, I'm going to talk through on another way to look at this. But if it can, you should also look at another way to look at this. Why? Because we don't really know what's going to happen after that 8 weeks. And even if you come out on the other end and things start to pick up, if they don't pick up fast enough, you could be in the same situation as if you didn't do anything and you just closed your doors. So you really got to be careful of that cash burn and make sure that you're doing the planning, because I know you want to do what's right for your employees and you want to keep everything together. But what is right? Is keeping the business going, or is paying 8 weeks worth of payroll right? So you not only need to think about the next 8 weeks, which is what the program is only focused on, just getting paychecks over an 8-week period, you have to think what happens after that 8 weeks. What then? Are there going to be more loans for you? Are you going to have enough cash? What's the cash burn? Will business pick up enough? These are all questions that you need to ask yourself. So I point this out because if you're so focused on getting the loan forgiven because it looks like free money, you might be risking your business, not by taking the loan, but using it to just get forgiveness. So maybe you should start thinking of the Paycheck Protection Loan as something you're going to pay back rather than something that's going to be forgiven. Now, if you have reduced staff, maybe a part can be forgiven. It doesn't have to be an all or nothing deal, but it is something that you should think about and plan for. That's all because if your employees aren't working and your revenue can't support the business, then you might be better off you just using this as a loan when your business can return to normal. Now, that'll apply to businesses that are completely shut down or half-staffed, reduced hours, and you won't get forgiven the entire loan. So even if it's a portion of the loan that's going to turn into a traditional loan versus being forgiven, or if it's the entire thing, that scenario really doesn't change the decision or the tough decision as a small business owner that you probably need to look at closer. Now, a lot of this depends not only on the severity of the coronavirus, but also the uncertainty of it all. Because even if we make it through this 8-week period after you get this loan, if the next day you go out of business, would you have been better off doing a traditional loan and not paying out the paychecks and not opening up the shop or the store or whatever and just moving forward with the traditional loan than to give your employees a job to come back to versus giving them the paychecks over that 8 weeks, but then having to close at the end? So at that point, you have to wonder, if you make it but have to give back the loan, are you better off than risking it? Just get the forgivable portion, pay the paychecks out, but risk going out of business where you don't make it. And even if you get this money in your hand, how difficult has it been to even get any of these loans to work? So these lifelines, even the Small Business Administration lifeline, if you're looking at any of these ways to get relief, they've been really slow to act and get the money into your hands as a small business owner. So if you're thinking that at the end of the 8 weeks, if I'm still struggling and I think I can make it, I can just apply for another loan, a different loan, that might not be the case. And it really depends on who's lending and where you can get that money and how fast you can get it, just like you're facing right now. And I'm seeing a lot of small business owners out there stepping up and paying out their employees from their own pockets. And that's great. But if you're not one of those small business owners that has an ample amount of cash in the bank, you don't have a cash reserve, that emergency fund, well, guess what? You have to go back to the question, are you better off staying afloat and getting through this difficult time so your business comes out on the other end, or are you not? There's a clear message here with the Paycheck Protection Program loan. It's to get the paychecks into your employees' hands. But is that the right thing to do if your business is going to go out of business when you get through this 8-week period? And if you're one of those business owners that ends up having to pay back part of it or all of it because it turned into a loan and not forgivable, then you get a second shot. And it's not even certain that you're gonna make it even at that point. And if that's the scenario, then if you make it, great, then you have to pay back the loan. But at least you made it as a small business and you gave people jobs. And if you don't make it, at least you tried. You tried to make it work and you tried to give your employees jobs, but you tried to make it successful as a business owner. Now, if you're thinking that in the event your business doesn't make it, that you tried, you did everything you possibly could, and you had to pay back this loan, remember that this loan has no collateral required and there's no personal guarantee. So if your business doesn't make it, you don't end up having to pay this back because there's no money and your business is out of business. Now, I know that there's a lot of small business owners out there that are in different positions and really difficult positions because I've talked to a ton of them and I've also read a lot of your comments on this channel. And it's been really difficult and nothing short of a nightmare to try and apply for the Paycheck Protection Program loan and even get the money. I don't know anybody at this point who's actually received the money. So I want to hear from you in the comments down below. Does this strategy work for your particular situation? Or what strategies have you thought about so far that you think would be the most valuable for the Paycheck Protection Program loan or just getting through this pandemic? And if you've enjoyed this video, be sure to subscribe and leave your comments down at the bottom.